Today in the battle arena, we've got Hela, the goddess of death, going up against Doctor Strange, the sorcerer supreme. So who's coming on top here? Let's find out. Stephen Strange was originally a brilliant neurosurgeon, but suffered a nearly fatal car accident that left his hands crippled. After conventional medicine failed him, Strange embarked on a search that led him to the Ancient One, and was introduced to the new world of magic. He then became a student of the Ancient One and mastered the mystic arts, now serving as one of Earth's protectors against forces that threaten the universe. With magic in the MCU, there's less casting spells or invoking mystical entities, but more Strange harnessing mystical energies from other dimensions to reform his magic. He's able to create eldritch weapons, forming whips and swords when to battle against enemies. Also able to create mystical shields, blocking strikes from Caecilius, and even blocking attacks from Dormammu and Thanos himself. Strange can use Sling Ring to create portals to anywhere in the multiverse, instantly sending Thor and Loki to Odin's location, or creating a series of portals for Spider-Man to leap through. He can transmute objects, like turning Thanos' black hole to a swarm of butterflies, project himself into the astral plane, and can send himself and others into the mirror dimension, a parallel plane of existence that's used to contain threats. He's even able to fire energy blasts and create dozens of clones of himself in order to fight against opponents. Then Doctor Strange also has magical artifacts to help him in his fight against otherworldly forces and threats, the Cloak of Levitation and the Eye of Agamotto. With the cloak, while Strange is obviously able to fly, but also protects him from all sorts of attacks, like it prevented Strange from being stabbed or slashed multiple times, moved him out the way of objects, even protected him when his back was turned when he was unconscious. The cloak is even able to attack others, attack one of Caecilius' men, Drax, even wrapping around Thanos' hand. Then with the Eye of Agamotto, well, this is Doctor Strange's most powerful weapon. With it, Strange is able to view alternate futures and possible outcomes, reverse time, freeze time altogether, or create time loops. So, as we got one corner, Doctor Strange, the master of the mystic arts and the sorcerer supreme of Earth. But entering the ring in the other corner, well, it's Hela, the goddess of death and Odin's firstborn. Hela is the firstborn daughter of Odin, goddess of death, and sister to both Loki and Thor. When she and Odin had finished conquering the 9 realms, Odin imprisoned Hela due to her increasing bloodlust. However, after Odin's death, she was freed from her imprisonment and came back with a plan to conquer and rule Asgard and create a new Asgardian empire. As the eldest child of Odin, Hela has tremendous superhuman abilities and is far superior to most all other Asgardians, even more powerful than Thor after he had acquired his full powers. She also has a supernatural connection to the realm of Asgard, and can draw power from Asgard itself or perform incredible feats of power. She's strong enough to easily catch Mjolnir with just one hand while it's coming at her at full speed, prevent it from returning to Thor, then even proceeded to crush the hammer with the palm of her hand with no real effort. In fact, Hela consistently showed that she's able to overpower her younger brother Thor, easily injuring him and even restraining him with just one hand. Hela is also ridiculously durable, as she was impaled through the chest by a sword, impaled by Thor with Gungnir, and hit with one of the largest lightning bolts that Thor had ever created, and brushed it all off with ease. In fact, the only beings capable of putting Hela down for good are beings on Odin and Surtur's level. Hela can also easily manifest weapons and blades of all sorts, summoning them at will. These blades aren't just powerful enough to easily wipe out regular Asgardians, but even injure and nearly kill Thor. She was even able to conjure up blades the size of buildings to fight against Surtur. Hela is also immensely formidable and a deadly warrior, both armed and hand-to-hand combat, as she was the original owner of Mjolnir, leader of the Asgardian army, as well as Odin's executioner. In fact, she's so skilled that she was able to battle against Thor and Valkyrie at the same time, easily wipe out the Asgardian army, and single-handedly slaughter the Valkyries. In short, Hela is so powerful that Heimdall was even convinced that she was fully capable of taking over and conquering the entire cosmos. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, Doctor Strange made a brief cameo in Thor Ragnarok, helping Thor and Loki locate their father Odin, and absolutely schooling Loki in the process. But he doesn't really do much besides that. Definitely doesn't help the Avengers in their quest to save Asgard from Hela. But what if he had? In fact, what if Doctor Strange had taken on Hela alone? Who would have come out on top? Well, that's what we're going to find out. And first things first, it's obvious that Hela is physically superior here. So that raises the question, just how physically powerful is she? Well, for starters, she's easily one of the strongest Marvel characters that we've ever seen. And a lot of that is really based upon scaling her off of the mighty Thor. Before she even made it back to Asgard and tapped into her true power, she was able to stop Mjolnir in the palm of her hand, meaning that she effortlessly overpowered Thor's throw, whereas when Hulk tried to do the same thing, he was thrown backwards. On top of that, Hela even shattered Mjolnir just one hand with almost no effort. Up until that point, that was supposed to have been impossible. Hela also proved that she has consistently been able to overpower Thor throughout their fights. Most of the time, he's been able to easily match him with just one hand, while he was struggling to contend with two. Then when it comes to durability, Hela has shrugged off consistent attacks from Thor like they were nothing. And even just the fact that she stopped Mjolnir in her hand is a crazy durability feat. I mean, Thor has consistently injured powerful opponents with Mjolnir. Yet Hela is able to take the attack in her hand, not even flinch. And it's not just blunt force. Hela's also got a remarkable ability to stand up to piercing attacks. She managed to stop Thor and Valkyrie's sword strikes just by blocking them with her arm. But it's really Hela's ability to take attacks and not go down that made me so supremely impressed with her. She was stabbed in the stomach by an Asgardian soldier, wasn't phased, and instantly recovered. She was stabbed in the stomach by Thor with Odin's spear Gungnir, wasn't phased, and instantly recovered. And it's not just sword strikes that she's able to easily recover from. I mean, Hela's even hit with what Thor described as the biggest lightning blast in the history of lightning. And it did nothing to put her down. Then finally we've got speed. Now the MCU as a whole gets so undersold when it comes to speed. While they don't have the absolute fastest characters in the world, their heroes and villains are by no means slow. I mean, just look at Hela. She's shown that she's actually faster than Asgardian bullets, moving her cape to block the bullets before they hit her. She also routinely outpaced Thor. Like we said, even caught Mjolnir the palm of her hand. And Thor isn't necessarily slow either. He's blocked most of the Tari Blast, blocked and dodged Ether Blast and Malekith, both of which were moving at bullets-like speeds. Then Thor has shown he can throw Mjolnir ridiculously fast too, as Quicksilver perceived the hammer the same way he perceived a bullet. And you can even argue that the hammer was moving faster in that instance. Yet Hela was able to easily catch Mjolnir when Thor threw it at her. On top of that, Hela is able to conjure up swords, the weapons at will. She can throw them with amazing accuracy, and they're powerful enough to casually pierce through Thor, and even the city-sized Surtur. Also just a ridiculously skilled fighter, being able to take down all of the Valkyrie, Asgard's elite fighting force, defeat the entire Asgardian army by herself, and dominate fights against both Thor and Valkyrie combined. So clearly, Hela is physically superior just by a massive margin. Doctor Strange could presumably hold off some of her blows with the use of his Eldritch magic shields, considering that he did manage to hold off Thanos with those things. But Hela isn't Thanos. Because unlike Thanos, Hela isn't going to try and just be landing one attack. She's going to be landing dozens of attacks all at once. So if one doesn't land, boom, just instantly follow up with another one. There's no way that Strange can play that game of dodge and deflect for long by just getting completely skewered. This was never about Doctor Strange's physicality. It was all about his magic and his versatility. So what can Strange do in that regard? Well, for starters, I think it's clearly obvious that magic does in fact work on Asgardians. I mean, Doctor Strange was just toying with Thor, teleporting him all over the place during the conversation, and even able to trap Loki in a free fall for 30 minutes. And when Loki charged him, he just casually sent them both away, with Loki being a powerful sorcerer in his own regard. Doctor Strange's magic should affect Hela just the same. There's absolutely nothing to suggest that it couldn't. But here's the thing, and it is worth pointing out. Well, really, two things. First off, Thor wasn't acting aggressive towards Strange, wasn't even trying to fight him, and Loki barely did anything either. Hela will be throwing swords, going for the kill right from the get-go, without a moment's hesitation. Secondly, Strange was clowning on Thor and Loki hard while inside the Sanctum. Being able to freely teleport Thor around like that, all without as much of a twitch of the finger, leads me to believe that Strange has either been jobbing hard in every single fight he's been in, which is unlikely, or that he's just more powerful inside the Sanctum, which makes sense, considering that the Sanctum is clearly a very powerful place to be. He won't be in the Sanctum in this fight, but we've still got the question on the table. Just what is Doctor Strange capable of doing? Well, he's got the ability to form eldritch weapons, ranging from swords to staffs to whips. He created eldritch shields capable of blocking attacks on both Dormammu and Thanos, and always has his trusty sling ring on him. With this sling ring, he's managed to open up portals to wherever he wants to go. Even managed to open up portals across the universe all at the same time. And in a fight, well, he's used them to redirect attacks, or even just remove someone completely from the battlefield and send them flying away to who knows where. He's capable of transmuting attacks on the Space Stone into a harmless swarm of butterflies. He used the Mirror Dimension to block blasts on the Power Stone, or just straight up trap people inside the Mirror Dimension. He's created dozens of clones of himself that can act simultaneously, fire arcs of red-hot energy, and even open up dimensional rifts in the earth and drag an enemy down into it before sealing them off forever. And Hela doesn't really have an answer to some of this stuff, chiefly being sucked into another dimension entirely. Whether she's a god or not, there's not really any coming back from that. So both can take the other one down. That much is clear. So then the final question here is just who can do it first? And that's Hela. Doctor Strange's magic takes time to conjure, involves a whole lot of hand movement, but Hela can just instantly conjure and throw her shields. And while Strange has been able to create shields to block knives thrown at him before, primarily by Drax, here he'll be dealing with a whole barrage of swords, so I'm not sure if there'll be enough time for him to drop his defense and conjure a magical attack without getting impaled in the process. Now, presumably, Strange could use the Cloak of Levitation to hold Hela back and create an opening, and that could possibly work, seeing as that held back Thanos for a second. But on the whole, just think Hela is going to be landing more attacks, and will always have Strange on the defense. That's also just how they fight. Both love a good monologue, but Hela will quickly dispatch people if she wants to. Strange almost seems reluctant to use his magic until he has to, like against Ebony Maw, the Guardians, or even Caecilius. And that's not going to play well for him here. And yes, Strange was able to fight against Thanos, But Hela and Thanos just fight very, very differently. Doctor Strange and Thanos were staying a distance apart, just taking turns hurling attacks at one another, while Hela presses the fight in close, doesn't let up the attack, never letting her opponent get a chance to strike. They just fight differently. So here's how I see it. Doctor Strange can beat Hela. He definitely can. Trap her in the mirror dimension, send her hurtling through time and space, even knock her soul out of her body. I just don't see that happening very often. He never really starts off fights with those kinds of attacks, preferring portals and eldritch weapons, and Hela will just be pressing the attack from the very get-go, never letting Strange drop his guard. Doctor Strange is a glass cannon. Get hit by one of those swords and he's done. And based on what we've seen from both of them in the past, I just think it's more likely to go that way, and not Strange instantly trapping in the mirror dimension, or something like that. So Doctor Strange can win, but I think Hela takes the majority here. Hela wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sign off in the comments down below. Also be sure the like button, subscribe button, and turn on notification from the DanCo army, and I will see you next time.